crypto this morning as we see stocks moving higher. Crypto is as well. Bitcoin at 62,000. As you see, Ethereum, Litecoin, all up this morning. Joining me right now exclusively is the CEO of Ripple, Brad Garlinghouse. Brad, it's great to see you.
Great to see you again.
Thank you so much for being here. First, assess where we are in this market because crypto is up huge in just the last couple of weeks, right?
Well, it's been up. It came down a little bit this past weekend. But I think if you step back over the last 6 months, Bitcoin's up about 250%. I think you're going to continue to see tailwinds, partly because of the ETFs that have been approved, which you and I spoke about in Davos, but also the upcoming halving, which is imminent.
Yeah, it's a great point. The ETF introduction really broadened out the market in terms of potential users, I think, and people wanted to get in on it, so they bought an ETF to do so. But you recently predicted that the crypto market will double in size to $5 trillion by the end of 2024. That is a big prediction just by the end of this year.
Yeah, I don't even feel like it's that big a prediction when you step back. And, like any market, this is driven by supply and demand. You have decreasing supply for a whole bunch of reasons, the halving of Bitcoin being an important one. You have an increasing demand, the ETF being a key part of that. And I think it's also people realizing that crypto plays a role as an asset. It's a $2.5 trillion market. Maybe it's a little less than that now. But so it's basically just predicting it's going to double by the end of the year. And if anything, I think I probably underpredicted that.
I feel like Washington is still trying to understand this market, and the people writing the legislation or potential legislation here to put barriers and around this market. I don't know that they really understand the strength and the growth story here. But you think putting regulation around this, putting barriers in place is going to be a positive for this market? There
is no question. I mean, one of the headwinds that has held back the market, the largest economy in the world, the United States, has been one of the most problematic for the crypto market. Innovation, entrepreneurs, and capital have flown into markets that have actually constructively engaged this market. So Dubai, Singapore, even the UK, the EU has passed legislative progress here. The U.S. has really been behind the eight ball. This administration, I think, has taken a pretty anti-crypto stance, led by the SEC. Gary Gensler, as the chair, has really taken...
Because he doesn't understand it.
I think there's some...
Well, maybe he doesn't. The people working for him don't.
It's not clear to me. I mean, clearly, I think you have politicians, and I would frankly call out Elizabeth Warren goes out and says the only people using crypto are, bad actors. It's just not true. And the U.S. should have a pro-innovation, pro-compliance policy. This is good for, in terms of growing jobs, high-paying jobs, growing the economy. And I think you're seeing, people go out and just, talking points around anti-crypto that it doesn't even make sense. This shouldn't even be a partisan issue. This is about growing our economy.
Yeah.
This is about leading the next wave of innovation. I was around Silicon Valley when the internet was booming, massive amount of value creation, massive amount of job creation. The blockchain and crypto space is here to stay, and I think that's become clearer and clearer. But the U.S. government needs to embrace that and put those clear rules around it so that all participants can play and grow.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned all of those countries because that's also an opportunity for you, obviously, at Ripple. I want to get your take on that because you recently announced Ripple is launching a U.S. dollar-backed stablecoin later this year. You say this bridges the gap between traditional finance and cryptocurrency. Tell us how that will play out, why it's valuable, and give us the growth story for Ripple. Where does growth come from at your company in the coming 3 years?
So to start on that last piece, Ripple, about over 95% of our customers are non-U.S. financial institutions. We sell payment solutions. We sell custody solutions around blockchain and crypto. We're going to keep expanding, even though the U.S. market, as we were talking about earlier, partly from a regulatory point of view, has been slow to adopt. The non-U.S. market has been really, really strong for us. And you're
going to be the infrastructure around all of that.
That is our goal. And we think that opportunity is huge. We think that's going to be great for Ripple. We think it's going to be great for XRP, which is a digital asset we use. So I'm very, very optimistic about that. I just think that the U.S. needs to figure it out.
And the stablecoin?
Oh, the stablecoin. So look, Ripple has always been about how do we bridge this new world with a traditional kind of, people call it TradFi, traditional finance. And Ripple has always been that bridge. We started around payments and we sell into banks. A stablecoin, the demand for stablecoins has exceeded, I think, what people thought. It's a $150 billion asset class right now. Some forecast it to be over $2-3 trillion in a few years. the players in that space, particularly one called Tether, is a non-U.S. based entity. And the U.S., frankly, is kind of going after that because they want this to be regulated. Just yesterday, there's a new bill introduced in the Senate to create some stablecoin legislation, which I think is a positive step of like, hey, finally, we might get some forward momentum there. But I think that market's going to grow a lot. I think a U.S.-based player who is compliance first has a great role to play.
It's a great story to tell. Brad, thank you so much for being here.
It's good to see you.
Great to see you, Brad Garlinghouse, CEO of Ripple. And